Well, it is like the world's worst America's Got Talent audition. It is the battle for the White House press secretary gig, and the front runner is a man on CNN's payroll. He's basically interviewing for the job at the White House live on CNN's air during CNN's shows. And yeah, the Daily Beast is reporting that Scott Jennings, of all people, CNN's designated Trump cuck, is the front runner to replace Karoline Leavitt as the White House press secretary. And Wednesday night, on Newsnight, he was asked right to his face about what's going on.
Briefly, Scott, who should replace Karoline Leavitt? Obviously, she is stepping
Scott
down.
Jennings.
And
Are you throwing your hat in the ring?
Who do you? Yeah. Well, first of all, you're throwing your hat in the ring. And
Will you serve, Scott? Answer the question.
No, look.
Answer the question.
I don't know, but I'll tell you this: Karoline Leavitt has been maybe the greatest White House press secretary in the last 30 years, at least. So, Godspeed on your journey back to your family. You've done great.
But do you want the job or not?
Let me help Scott. Democrats are afraid of Scott Jennings becoming press secretary. There you go. Now you got the job.
Bakari Sellers is literally yelling, "Are you throwing your hat in the ring?" And Jennings already has that press secretary thing down pat. Because he doesn't answer the question, he simply delivers a eulogy to Karoline Leavitt's career, saying she was, quote, maybe the greatest White House press secretary in the last 30 years, at least. Jen Psaki would like to have a word, by the way. The greatest in 30 years. He's talking about a woman whose highlight reel includes tariffs as a tax cut and answering a question about the Putin summit with a text, "Your mom did." If that is the greatest of the last 30 years, I don't want to live in this timeline anymore. Thanos, wherever you are, do your thing. But when Scott Jennings was pressed again, he simply grinned and said, quote, Democrats are afraid of Scott Jennings becoming press secretary. He broke out the third person talk in essentially a live job interview that he's pretending isn't happening. And yes, the reason he's saying that he'd be good at this job is because he'd own the libs. When in reality, part of his job is supposed to be like selling the president's agenda or gaining support and public trust for the highest office in our land. And we already know that that is a tall, tall ask when a man like Donald Trump is the man in charge. But here we are. And you got to look at the rest of the field, these great winners out there, because the betting markets, they're showing a few of them that are starting to percolate. You got the Kennedy Center PR lady announcing that they're going to engrave Trump's name onto the Kennedy Center instead of putting letters up. Laura Trump, Natalie Harp, Alina Habba, the New York Post adding a Breitbart bureau chief. You've got Carrie Lake and Katie Miller, Stephen Miller's unhinged wife. I don't think America can survive two Millers in the White House. And by the way, there is now reporting that the DOJ released evidence that Katie Miller and Eric Swalwell, yeah, that Eric Swalwell, had a fling a decade or so ago. Seriously, Thanos, anytime now, come on, hit me with a snap. God, I hate this. But seriously, if a network's paid commentator is openly the front runner and auditioning for a White House job, what does that network, in terms of ethics, owe you, the viewer on screen? Do they offer a disclosure, a chyron that says job applicant? What should CNN actually do here? Because I want to hear it from you in the comments, but I'll tell you why they're not doing anything in just a second. But if you're not someone who's familiar with Scott Jennings' work, he's the one who told a national audience that he'd personally chatted with a hospitalized Mitch McConnell about appropriations, which then CNN had to publicly walk back. On his show, this is the guy that Abby Phillip has to fact check in real time so often it's pretty much become her second full-time job. And as for the seat he's auditioning for, let's talk about how that opened up. Because the official story that we covered is that she's leaving for family. And with two babies under two, genuinely, good for her, family first, priorities matter. Well, Not so fast, my friend, because the Daily Mail sources are painting a completely different picture. Leavitt thinking about quitting during her maternity leave because Trump kept calling to ask when she was coming back. She was suffering from extreme burnout. She never slept. Quote, just trying to figure out how to politely step down with his blessing. According to these sources, she is allegedly leaving because Trump is so toxic. Yet she's the one that stood there at that podium daily, lying to the world on his behalf. And per the same insiders, the replacement isn't chosen just yet. They're still weighing their options. So officially, the White House says that they've picked no one. But according to all the insiders, the top option, he's performing his tryout on cable news every night. So right now, everybody's already lying a little bit. Scott Jennings is going to be great at this. And I've got to tell you, CNN, they know what they're doing. And they love it. Because more people will be paying attention. More people are tuning in. They keep booking Scott Jennings because outrage means ratings. And now, as Paramount is trying to wrap its tentacles around the place to drag it rightward ho, they get to watch their own guy, their own creation, walk out their door and potentially be yelling at them from the other side of the briefing room. And that's why I'm going to ask you guys to hit that notification icon, because when Jennings takes the podium and the corporate press pretends they didn't spend years building him, we will absolutely be here with the tape. And I'm also going to ask, consider becoming a member. That is the best way to ensure that we can continue putting out content like this on a daily basis.